ओके गाइस, वी आर बैक अगेन। वापस आ गए हैं हम ड्रैगन एज ओरिजिन्स खेलते हुए। तो लास्ट टाइम हमने टावर ऑफ इशाल कंप्लीट करा था। वी वेंट टू द टॉप ऑफ द टावर। वहाँ पे हमने एक ओगर से लड़ाई करी, वॉज अ बॉस। और उसके बाद फिर हमने एक वीडियो देखी जिसमें हमें पता चला कि टेरेन लोगेन ने हमें धोखा दे दिया है। डबल धोखा हो गया हमारे साथ। उसने अपने किंग को धोखा दिया। ही डिड नॉट कम टू हिज रेस्क्यू। वो बचाने नहीं आया, जबकि पास उसकी इतनी बड़ी आर्मी थी, उसके पास बैकअप के लिए उसको आना था, उसको सिग्नल देखते ही। बट वो दुम दबा के भाग गया। तो उसके बाद फिर हम यहाँ इस कमरे में उठे हैं। फिर मॉर्गन ने हमें बताया कि इसकी माँ ने हमें बचाया। वो चिड़िया बन के हमें उठा के ले गई थी लाइक लॉर्ड ऑफ द रिंग्स। सो शी सेव्ड आवर लाइव्स। तो अब देखते हैं आगे की स्टोरी। सो नाइस रूम, some flowers. Oh, 5-star hotel. You got some rugs, cozy bed, fireplace. और क्या चाहते हो यार ज़िंदगी में? लाइक मैं अगर यहाँ रहूँ तो भाई मैं तो कभी निकलूँ ही ना। चेस्ट अगेन। ये सब नहीं खोल सकते क्योंकि हम रोग नहीं हैं, स्किल नहीं है हमारे पास। बट हम ये खोल, ओ ये खुल गई। ओ कांट टेक इट। ओ इन्वेंट्री फुल है हमारी अगेन। सो लेट्स गो आउटसाइड, देखते हैं आगे बाहर। हम बात करते हैं अपने एलिस्टर से और इसकी माँ से।
See, here is your fellow Grey Warden. You worry too much, young man.
You're alive. I thought you were dead for sure.
नहीं भाई, क्या बचा लिया मॉर्गन की माँ ने।
Oh, this doesn't seem real. If it weren't for Morrigan's mother, we'd be dead on top of that tower.
Do not talk about me as if I am not present, lad.
I didn't mean... But what do we call you? You've never told us your name?
Names are pretty, but useless. The chastened folk call me Flemmeth. I suppose it will do.
The Flemmeth? From the legends? Daveth was right. You're the Witch of the Wilds, aren't you?
And what does that mean? I know a bit of magic, and it has served you both well, has it not?
Definitely. So, बातें करें इससे। If you are Flemmeth, you must be very old and powerful. क्या सेलेक्ट करें? ठीक है, इसमें डेट पे थोड़ा इन्फ्लुएंस है, एम्फेसिस।
Well, we cannot have all the Grey Wardens dying at once, can we? Someone has to deal with these dark spawn. It has always been the Grey Warden's duty to unite the lands against the Blight. Or did that change when I wasn't looking?
Definitely not.
But we were fighting the Darkspawn. The king had nearly defeated them. Why would Loghain do this?
Now that is a good question. Men's hearts hold shadows darker than any tainted creature. Perhaps he believes the Blight is an army he can outmaneuver. Perhaps he does not see that the evil behind it is the true threat.
The archdemon.
Definitely. So let's talk. We have a lot of options. बहुत बातें करने के options हैं.
The throne? He's the Queen's father. Still, I can't see how he'll get away with murder.
You speak as if he would be the first king to gain his throne that way. Grow up, boy.
If Al-Eamon knew what he did, he would never stand for it. The Landsmeet would never stand for it. There would be civil war.
Civil war? Al-Eamon? कौन है भाई Al-Eamon? ओह, डेविथ उसकी कैसल में नाइट था। हाँ हाँ, उसने बताया था रेड क्लिफ में। यस।
I suppose. Al-Eamon wasn't at Ostagar. He still has all his men. And he was Kaelin's uncle. I know him. He's a good man, respected in the Landsmeet. Of course, we could go to Redcliffe and appeal to him for help.
देखा, कुछ तो प्लान निकल आया। Everyone will see the danger the Blight possesses, right? Keep in mind, Loghain was also an honorable man, but
You could wait for the Archdemon to make its appearance. I imagine that might be convincing.
It's been centuries since the last Blight. Nobody will take it seriously until it's too late.
सच तो कह रहा है। बाकी के ग्रे वार्डन्स तो है नहीं यहाँ पे। क्या करें भाई, क्या करें? Surely there are other allies we could call to. Definitely.
Of course! The treaties! Grey Wardens can demand aid from dwarves, elves, mages, and other places. They're obligated to help us during a blight.
I may be old, but dwarves, elves, mages, this Arl Eamon, and who knows what else. This sounds like an army to me.
So can we do this? Go to Redcliffe and these other places and build an army?
Definitely. Is there profit in it? इसको पैसे की पड़ी है. ठीक है, I doubt it will be as easy as that.
And when is it ever?
It's always been the Grey Warden's duty to stand against a blight. And right now, we're the Grey Wardens.
So you are set then, ready to be Grey Wardens.
Okay. Yes, thank you for everything, Flemmeth. Can you use any more help? Nah, already इसने काफी help कर दिया.
No, no, thank you. You are the Grey Wardens here, not I. Now, before you go, there is yet one more thing I can offer you.
अच्छा?
The stew is bubbling, Mother dear. Shall we have 2 guests for the eve, or none?
The Grey Wardens are leaving shortly, girl. And you will be joining them.
Such a shame. What?
You heard me, girl. The last time I looked, you had ears.
देखा? So she is being forced against her will to join us, but she'll soon change her mind. I think that's an excellent idea. But thank you, but if Morrigan doesn't wish to join us...
Her magic will be useful. Even better, she knows the wilds and how to get past the Horde.
Have I no say in this?
You have been itching to get out of the wilds for years. Here is your chance. As for you, Wardens, consider this repayment for your lives.
Okay, we'll definitely take her.
Not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but won't this add to our problems? Out of the wilds, she's an apostate.
If you do not wish help from us illegal mages, young man, perhaps I should have left you on that tower.
Point taken.
Mother, this is not how I wanted this. I'm not even ready.
You must be ready. Alone, these two must unite for Eldon against the Darkspawn. They need you, Morrigan. Without you, they will surely fail, and all will perish under the Blight. Even I.
I... understand.
And you, Wardens, do you understand? I give you that which I value above all in this world. I do this because you must succeed.
I understand.
Allow me to get my things, if you please. I am at your disposal, Grey Wardens. I suggest a village north of the wilds as our first destination. 'Tis not far, and you will find much you need there. Or, if you prefer, I shall simply be your silent guide. The choice is yours.
No, definitely speak your mind.
You will regret saying that.
Dear sweet mother, you are so kind to cast me out like this. How fondly I shall remember this moment.
Well, I always said, if you want something done, do it yourself. Or hear about it for a decade or two afterwards.
Do you really want to take her along because her mother says so?
We need all the help we can get, Alistair. कैसी बात कर रहा है यार?
I guess you're right. The Grey Wardens have always taken allies where they could find them.
I am so pleased to have your approval.
कुछ questions कर सकते हैं?
I may have answers. Ask.
Oh, काफी सारे.
I know a few spells, though I am nowhere near as powerful as Mother. I have also studied history and your Grey Warden treaties.
Can you cook?
I can cook, yes.
देख इसकी शक्ल देखी थी. So you can substitute for Alistair. नहीं, we'll not be rude.
You missed your chance. Now it's charred rabbit from here on out.
Okay. So how are we going to get past Darkspawn?
The real question is how we are going to get your friend past the Darkspawn, is it not?
That's true. We can sense the Darkspawn. Conversely, they can sense us. We should be able to sneak past smaller groups, but larger ones, or particularly intelligent darkspawn, will always detect us.
Mother has given me something else for them to smell instead as we pass by. 'Tis important we head out of the wilds, however, not farther in. 'Tis a small place of little consequence called Lothering. No more than a stop along your Imperial Highway where travellers purchase goods from local farms and smiths. I would go more often were it not for the town's chantry. It makes the village particularly intolerant and unpleasant for a stranger such as me.
A chantry? And they never in all this time thought that maybe you were a witch?
Of course they have. They even called out their Templars once. They found nothing.
देखा? Have you ever been like क्या हुआ क्या था पूछते हैं.
I mention it for its tavern, where travellers gather with news from other places. 'Tis small enough that our appearance might go unnoticed. Beyond that, 'tis close, and I know the way. From time to time, I have been to the village I mentioned, watched its people, and pondered what curious beings they are. On occasion, I purchased goods from the village merchants. There I spoke with men a little. There they stared and knew me as an outsider. Mother wishes for me to expand the horizon of my experience beyond the wilds. Even she was not born here. 'Twas she who raised me, and thus I consider her my mother, born from her womb or not. 'Tis what you meant, yes?
Technically, Morrigan is the adopted daughter of Flemmeth. She is not her real daughter. उसकी असली बेटी नहीं है.
Young? Married? Pregnant? Who said she was any of these things? I certainly did not. Farewell, Mother. Do not forget the stew on the fire. I would hate to return to a burned-down hut.
Bah! 'Tis far more likely you will return to see this entire area, along with my hut, swallowed up by the blight.
All I meant was...
Yes, I know. Do try to have fun, dear.
चलो. So Alistair approves 4, Morrigan approves 4. देखो यहाँ left, right, bottom left में. So this is a character approval rating जो अब जाके शुरू हुई है. तो ये क्या है, आप जिस हिसाब से कैरेक्टर से बातें करते हो, इंटरेक्ट करते हो, उनकी हाँ में हाँ मिलाते हो या डिसएग्री करते हो, तो उनका एक अप्रूवल रेटिंग है जो बढ़ता है और कम होता है. तो हो सकता है अगर आपका अप्रूवल रेटिंग बहुत अच्छा है तो वो हमेशा आपकी हेल्प करें, उनके कुछ स्पेशल स्किल अनलॉक होते हैं और आपकी मदद करते हैं. लोअर अप्रूवल रेटिंग होता है तो कभी कभी शायद काफ़ी चीज़ों से अप्रूव नहीं करते, पार्टी छोड़ के चले जाएंगे, पता नहीं क्या क्या. तो ऑलवेज़ ट्राई टू कीप दैट हाई. बातें करते करते अप्रूवल रेटिंग बढ़ती है, आपके एक्शन से भी बढ़ेगी गेम में. और एक तरीका और होता है जो मैं आपको पहले बता रहा था, वो मैं दिखाता हूँ. इन्वेंट्री में आप देखेंगे कहाँ गए, यहाँ पे है क्या, यस ये रहा. जैसे ट्राइबल नेकलेस, ये गिफ्ट है. तो गेम में आप काफ़ी गिफ्ट्स एक्वायर करेंगे, मिलेंगे. कुछ स्पेशल गिफ्ट भी होंगे जो स्पेशल कैरेक्टर्स के लिए होते हैं. वो जब आप उन्हें दोगे तो उनका अप्रूवल रेटिंग बढ़ता है. अब देखिए यहाँ पे ये जो दिख रहा है आपको अप्रूवल रेटिंग 4 है. अभी वो न्यूट्रल है, बंदा ना आपसे डिसएग्री करता है ना ज़्यादा अग्री करता है. तो अगर आप इसे गिफ्ट देते जाएंगे ऐसे ड्रैग कर करके तो इसका थोड़ा थोड़ा अप्रूवल बढ़ता रहता है. तो जितना बढ़िया गिफ्ट होगा उतना ज़्यादा अप्रूवल देता जाएगा. और एक बार ये अप्रूवल बिल्कुल जहाँ अगर हाई हो गया तो वो लॉक हो जाता है. तो दैट इज़ गुड, दैट्स अ गुड थिंग. चलो यहाँ से निकलते हैं. क्या हम इससे बात कर सकते हैं?
Have you not left yet? I hope you are not hanging about for some stew.
पैक कर दे यार, टेक अवे.
Huh, I prefer to remain here. Considering what the world has done to me, I have already done more than it deserves. That is between the world and me. Your business is elsewhere. It is not a matter of power. No one person in all of Thedas has enough power to stand against a blight. Were that the case, sending you two would be quite the jest. What is important is that you are both Grey Wardens. Your task is to unite the land, inspire its men, and turn them from their petty politics to face the archdemon. In that, you are more powerful than I by far. I am but an old woman whom the world has largely forgotten.
इसकी बैक स्टोरी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। तीनों गेम्स में कंटिन्यू होती है, ड्रैगन एज 2 और ड्रैगन एज इंक्विजिशन में। इट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ये। चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं।
Yes, you should. You have a whole lot of darkspawn to get past before you sleep.
केट मल्ग्रो इज़ एन अमेजिंग वॉइस एक्टर। चलो यहाँ से निकलें। टेक्निकली आप कह सकते हैं कि आपका एक्चुअल गेम ना अब शुरू हुआ है। पहले एक छोटा सा प्रोलॉग था। ओके पहले मैप के बारे में बता देता हूँ। तो बेसिकली अब आपका मैप एक्सेस आ गया। अब आप वर्ल्ड में अलग अलग जा सकते हो। तो अब आपको ग्रे वार्डन्स के लिए एलाइज कलेक्ट करने हैं ब्लाइट को हराने के लिए। तो हम यहाँ जाएंगे, फ्रॉस्टबैक माउंटेन्स, ये सब सारी जो चीज़ें आप देख रहे हैं छोटे छोटे, यहाँ पे हम जा सकते हैं। कुछ साइड क्वेस्ट, कुछ DLCs हैं। ये हमारा पार्टी कैंप है, कभी भी जा सकते हैं यहाँ पे। तो हम रेड क्लिफ विलेज जा सकते हैं पहले, या यहाँ जा सकते हैं फ्रॉस्टबैक माउंटेन्स, या डेनेरिम जा सकते हैं, या फॉरेस्ट में जा सकते हैं। वो आपकी चॉइस है, आपको कैसे भी अप्रोच करना है। लेकिन अभी सबसे पहले हम जाएंगे पार्टी कैंप। लेट्स ट्राई दिस। आ गया। तो ये हमारा पार्टी कैंप है। काफ़ी बड़े बड़े मिशंस के बाद हम यहाँ पे वापस आते रहेंगे। दिस विल बी आवर मेन एरिया, जहाँ पे हम लोगों से बातें करेंगे बीच बीच में गेम के मिशंस कंप्लीट होने के बाद। दिस इज़ वेयर ऑल द कैरेक्टर्स जो बाद में कंपेनियंस हमारे ऐड होंगे यहाँ पे आएंगे, और एलाइज जो होंगे वो भी आएंगे। तो एलिस्टर यहाँ बिल्कुल कैंप के बीच में रहता है, इससे हम भी बातें कर सकते हैं। और मॉर्गन सबसे अलग रहती है, सबसे दूर। तो ये हमारा पार्टी कैंप है। लेट्स गो बैक टू मैप। वर्ल्ड मैप का, हाँ ये रहा। सो वी कैन गो टू ऑर्जमार टू गेट द ड्वार्व्स का हेल्प। उनको पहले रिक्रूट कर सकते हैं, या वी कैन गो टू द फॉरेस्ट टू द एल्व्स, द डेली शेल्व्स, उनकी हेल्प पहले ले सकते हैं। कम्प्लीटली डिपेंडेड ऑन यू। या फिर हम मेज टावर भी जा सकते हैं, द लेक ऑफ कैलेनेट जो हमारा घर था, मेजेस की हेल्प लेने। सो वे लाइक कम्प्लीटली आपके ऊपर है कैसे आपको अप्रोच करना है। तो पहले कुछ बातें करते हैं, देखते हैं।
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
ठीक है। अब ये जो कॉन्वर्सेशंस कैप में होती हैं, इसके हिसाब से आप जैसे भी इंटरेक्ट करोगे इनका अप्रूवल रेटिंग बढ़ता कम होगा। तो मैं दिखाता हूँ। तो मैं इससे पूछता हूँ लाइक हाउ डिड यू बिकम अ शेप चेंजर। मॉर्गन एक्चुअली अपना शेप चेंज कर सकती है। शी कैन टर्न इनटू अ जायंट स्पाइडर। वो वन ऑफ द पावर ऑफ मेजेस, जो हमारे पास भी स्पेशलाइजेशन है बट अभी अनलॉक नहीं हुई है।
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
अच्छा भाई, ओके। तो अब देखो, दिस इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट कि आप क्या सिलेक्ट करते हो।
Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Again, हाँ, we have to be very careful. I've heard of magic like that before. Do you spend a lot of time as an animal? Can anyone become a shape changer? ठीक है।
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could. But as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
Okay. ठीक है। तो बाय प्रैक्टिशनर्स यू मीन अपोस्टेट्स, जो चांट्री के बाहर होते हैं, जैसे ये और इसकी माँ है। द चांट्री सिंपली सीक्स टू प्रोटेक्ट अस फ्रॉम डेंजर। ये इससे बिल्कुल डिसएग्री करेगी। बेसिकली वो सबको वही है ना, चांट्री टेम्पलर्स आते हैं, उठा के ले जाते हैं, बंद कर देते हैं। सो डेफिनेटली नॉट अ गुड ऑप्शन। सो हाँ मिलाओ, दैट्स द बेस्ट ऑप्शन। That's good. Such traditions need to be preserved.
I'm shocked that you think so. being a mage of the circle as you were. But perhaps you felt a little like a caged bird as well, caught within that dark tower.
Definitely.
I thought so.
ठीक है. Next question. Do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
ठीक है. Can like anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required if I cared to teach you.
तो ये हमें सिखा सकती है वो स्पेशलाइजेशन, बट हम वो लेंगे नहीं बिकॉज वील गो फॉर अदर्स वन. ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इतनी ज़्यादा अच्छी नहीं है, देखने में सुनाई देती है, लाइक बहुत सही लगती है, बट इट्स नॉट दैट यूजफुल.
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess. Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
डेफिनेटली नॉट. अगेन बड़ा उसको चने के झाड़ पे चढ़ाओ.
Oh, you're simply full of surprises, little man, aren't you? But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
देखो, मॉर्गन अप्रूव्स +7. तो जितनी बेटर चॉइसेस आप कॉन्वर्सेशन में यूज़ करोगे उतना अप्रूवल रेटिंग बढ़ता रहेगा. तो अभी हम और बातें कर सकते हैं, थोड़ा और अप्रूवल बढ़ा सकते हैं.
What do you wish of me? If you must.
ठीक है. Did you grow up in the Korkari wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
I'm curious.
Any number of cats could inform you of the answer to that question, but have it your way. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemmeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemmeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
That's interesting.
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemmeth could never have prepared me for.
Okay. You must have looked quite the fool then.
I think not. I am no frail flower wilting at the first heat. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally he was arrested.
Very smart. तेज है, बहुत तेज है. जैसे कोई इसके ऊपर पड़ रहा है ये बिल्कुल विक्टिम प्ले करती है. इट्स लाइक दैट्स एक्चुअली वेरी स्मार्ट. मतलब नॉट द मोस्ट हीरोइक और एक्सेलेंट वे. मतलब क्या लाइक वो शब्द याद नहीं आ रहा है. कोई नहीं. दैट वाज क्विक थिंकिंग. दैट्स गुड.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
इसको was like बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है handshake भी. He was like touching like a handshake.
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemmeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemmeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Okay, you can go back if you like. Well, I'm glad it worked out this way. Yet here you are. क्या चूज़ करें यहाँ? Like I'm not sure क्या line है perfect इसके लिए. ये तो नहीं यूज़ कर सकते jokes on news. That's rude. ये भी नहीं करेंगे. Yet here you are. चलो, I'm glad it worked out this way at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat in the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
देखा, so we did not go this conversation correctly. -1. ठीक है, that's an okay hit, not 1. कभी-कभी तो -5, -7 होता है.
What do you wish of me?
ठीक है.
If you must.
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry? Oh, हाँ, ये interesting है.
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
ठीक है, I'm glad you think so. You are cute when you are वैसे थोड़ा flirt कर सकते हैं.
Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemmeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
Oh, ये बहुत interesting कहानी है, सुनना.
They came with as much swagger and arrogance as they did self-righteousness. Pity them if you wish, for they held none for us. Flemmeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemmeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Okay.
Sometimes. Eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemmeth would simply move us elsewhere and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Maleficarum is like another word. दूसरा शब्द है blood mages के लिए, जो blood magic यूज़ करते हैं. तो क्या कह रही है? हाँ. Do you regret hunting any of those men? What exactly is an apostate? वो हमें पता ही है, जो चंटर के बाहर mages होते हैं. They probably thought you were dangerous with good reason. नहीं, ये बिल्कुल नहीं. They got what they deserved, huh?
Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the circle of magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
बहुत important. पूरा explain कर दिया इसने एक ही line में. I agree completely. हाँ में हाँ मिलाओ. Always.
An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
और इसी तरह +3 approval मिल गया हमें.
What do you wish of me? If you must. Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
हाँ, ये बहुत अच्छा interesting option है. A nutty old bat. We know she's a woman. She's old. She's definitely not a blood mage. So she's not like that. ह्यूमन ऑब्वियसली, बट सो दिस इज़ लाइक ये बहुत ये इंटरेस्टिंग है ना, तो ये चूज़ करो, नटी ओल्ड बैट.
Sometimes I do wonder the very same thing. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I don't. I might have heard something, but I'm more interested in the truth, definitely.
I can relay what Flemmeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Okay, so now.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemmeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Okay. Kab?
Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemmeth fell in love with Osen the bard and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Okay, तो ये अपनी माँ की कहानी बता रही है. वो शी इज़ लाइक वेरी ओल्ड, काफ़ी लाइक सेंचुरीज, लाइक 300-400 पता नहीं कितने साल ओल्ड है. फेरल्डन तब तक कंट्री भी नहीं था. तो इसका एक हस्बैंड था ओसन, और फिर एक बंदा आया लॉर्ड कोनाबार. उसने बोला भाई तेरी बीवी दे दे मेरे को, मैं तेरे को पैसा दे दूंगा और पावर दे दूंगा. तो गैस करो क्या फिर तुम कैसे रिएक्ट करोगे. लाइक कोई बंदा आ गया तो मैं बोलता है भाई अपनी बीवी दे दे मेरे को और तू पावर ले ले और पैसा ले ले, राइट. सो उसने अपनी बीवी बेच दी. तो भाई बीवी तो बड़ा गुस्सा हो गई होगी. फ्लेमेथ मस्ट हैव बीन वेरी एंग्री, और सीम्स लाइक अ फेयर डील. तो ये ऑप्शन बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है.
Aye, it was. 'Twas Flemmeth who suggested the arrangement in the first place. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemmeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
देखो, तो फ्लेमेथ का उसी का आइडिया था कि भाई ठीक है भाई, हमारे पास पैसा वैसा नहीं, हम गरीब लोग हैं तो, और हमें ज़रूरत भी है, तो वो उसी का आइडिया था. एंड शी वाज अग्री. बट लेकिन भाई वो कोनाबार निकला हरामी, धोखा दे दिया. उसके पास पैसे ही नहीं थे, बिना पैसे के डील कर रहा था, और उसने उसके हस्बैंड को मरवा दिया. और फिर फ्लेमेथ ने बात करी स्पिरिट से और भूतों से और पता नहीं किससे, उसको पता चला, एंड शी स्वोर रिवेंज.
That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemmeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemmeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemmeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
तो ये बता रही है कि फिर उसने स्पिरिट से बात करी, स्पिरिट्स ने कोनाबार को मार दिया, और फिर वो वाइल्ड्स में भाग गई फॉरेस्ट में, और वहाँ पे उसको एक डीमन मिला जिसने उसको पावर दी, और उसने सारी आर्मीज़ को डिफीट कर दिया. जो लेजेंड है, दिस इज़ लाइक द प्रोपेगेंडा जो लेजेंड्स बन के अभी तक इनकी कंट्री में चलता आ रहा है, और ये हमें एक्चुअल सच्चाई बता रही है कि वो सब कुछ नहीं था, ये असली कहानी थी.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemmeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemmeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
सो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है। अब ये एक कहानी है जो लेजेंड है इनकी कंट्री में, उसका एक वर्जन बता रही है जो उसकी माँ के साथ हुआ था, विच इज़ ट्रू, विच इज़ लाइक द ये एक्चुअल वर्जन है, दिस इज़ द फैक्ट। और अगर कोई आप किसी और से सुनोगे तो वो कुछ और ही बताएगा। ओके, सो काफ़ी सारे इंटरेस्टिंग ऑप्शंस आ गए हैं। ठीक है, सो हाउ डिड फ्लेमेथ सर्वाइव?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
तो उसने बताया ना कि भाई जब वो जंगल में गई थी इसकी माँ, उसको डीमन जो मिला था, तो शी हैज़ बिकम एन अबोमिनेशन। शायद जो अब तक हमें जो जितना भी पता है कि समटाइम्स मेजेस जो हैं वो डीमंस के साथ डील कर सकते हैं, तो उनकी बॉडी पोजेस हो जाती है। सो शी इज़ पोजेस्ड, बट वो देखने से कहीं से डीमन लगती नहीं है, बल्कि उल्टा हमारी हेल्प ही कर रही है। सो वी डोंट नो वेदर दैट्स अ डीमन और अ स्पिरिट और क्या है, एटलीस्ट फॉर नाउ, एटलीस्ट फॉर दिस गेम।
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemmeth became is a mystery. I suspect even to her. You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemmeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
तो ये भी एक कहानी है कि फ्लेमेथ की बहुत सारी बेटियां थी, और इसको खुद नहीं पता कि वो इसकी अकेली बेटी है, उससे पहले भी थी, क्योंकि वो इतनी सेंचुरीज पुरानी ओल्ड है ना, शी इज़ वेरी ओल्ड। सो वाई वुड शी रिफ्यूज़ टू स्पीक ऑफ हर अदर डॉटर्स? उनके बारे में बात क्यों नहीं करती?
The chastened tell of a falling out between Flemmeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemmeth will eat my heart as well.
I doubt that. But it was an interesting story. ज़्यादा बात नहीं करेंगे, and we'll just thank her.
Flemmeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
हमें खुद ही नहीं पता। ओके, हाँ ठीक है, वी कैन डिसाइड टू से, वी कैन लाइक रिजेक्ट हर बाई, हम क्यूरियस थे तो तू भी क्यूरियस है, ठीक है।
Nothing. I wish to know nothing more. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on.
Morrigan approves 7। तो काफ़ी अच्छी कॉन्वर्सेशन थी वो, काफ़ी अच्छी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है। इट वॉज एक्चुअली फैक्ट, सही कह रही थी वो, बहुत अच्छी कहानी बताई इसने। सो ये पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशंस आपको वर्ल्ड की बैक स्टोरी भी बता रहे हैं। सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्टोरी जो आगे जाके हमें लाइक पता चलता है जब वो एक्सपैंड होती है। इन द मीन टाइम, ओ एक सेकेंड, हाँ मॉर्गन यहाँ खड़ी है ना, देखो ये आप कभी भी कर सकते हो। पहले आप मॉर्गन को सिलेक्ट करो, देन गिव हर दिस ट्राइबल नेकलेस, क्योंकि ये जंगल से आती है, ट्राइबल एरिया, तो देखते हैं क्या होता है।
A fine gift.
Plus
You
5।
have my thanks.
देखा, ऐसे आप यूज़ कर सकते हो। न्यू एबिलिटी इंस्पायर्ड माइनर मैजिक, गिफ्ट देने से और बातें करने से, अप्रूवल बढ़ने से इनकी छोटी छोटी पैसिव एबिलिटीज़ अनलॉक होती हैं। पार्टी अप्रूवल, ठीक है। तो मॉर्गन से बात हो गई, अब हम बात करते हैं एलिस्टर से। ये भी अपनी थोड़ी कहानी बताएगा, इससे भी हम कुछ बातें करते हैं, और उसके बाद मैं फिर वीडियो एंड करूँगा। उसके बाद फिर हम आगे कहानी बढ़ाएंगे एक्चुअल, इससे बात करने के बाद।
What do you need?
So what can you tell me about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did. I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the blight and everything. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's no need to apologize.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
But he had you.
I suppose he did. It probably sounds stupid, but part of me wishes I was with him, in the battle. I feel like I abandoned him.
नहीं यार कैसी बातें कर रहा है?
Yes. I know. I think he came from Hyeva, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry, I'm just...
Okay.
Yes, I imagine you really have, haven't you? Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
ठीक है तेरे साथ हम हाईवर चलेंगे जब तू जाएगा.
I'd like that. So would he, I think.
Morrigan, Alistair approves 5. Good talk, good talk. थोड़ी सी और बातें करते हैं.
What do you need? Ask away.
ठीक है. So what can a Templar do? ये Templar हुआ करता था, इसने बताया था ना मैं पहले, ग्रे वार्डन बनने से पहले. Almost ट्रेनिंग में था, प्रॉपर Templar नहीं था.
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
Okay, that's interesting.
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
Iron Man.
No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows. I was only present during one harrowing. That was all I needed, too. I don't know how anyone could get through that. The girl they tested, she had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that.
तो ये अपना एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा है. ये एक हैरोइंग में था, एक बंदी को हैरोइंग का टेस्ट था, उसके अंदर उसके पास भी एक डीमन था उसके माइंड में. जब वो फेड में थी तो वो टेस्ट पास नहीं कर पाई और फिर उसको मार दिया गया. तो ये उतना हैप्पी नहीं था. जब उसने देखा तो वो थोड़ा ट्रॉमेटाइज्ड हो गया था. सो हर बंदा टेम्पलर नहीं बन पाता है. दैट हैपन्स वेरी रेयरली, बट देर आर केसेस. तो बाकी लोग टेम्पलर बन सकते हैं क्या? बिल्कुल बन सकते हैं. अगर आप वॉरियर होते तो ये आपको सिखाता, जैसे मॉरिगन हमें शेप चेंजिंग सिखा सकती है मेजेस को.
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
ठीक है. तो एक चीज़ बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग जो उसने बताई है, टेम्पलार्स आर एडिक्टेड टू लिरियम. टेम्पलार्स भी लिरियम यूज़ करते हैं अपनी पावर्स के लिए. वो जादू नहीं कर सकते, बट कुछ पावर्स आती हैं उनके पास, वो सिर्फ मेजेस पे इफेक्ट करती हैं. बट वो जितना ज़्यादा लिरियम यूज़ करते हैं वो उतने ज़्यादा एडिक्ट होते जाते हैं, चरसी बन जाते हैं भाई वो लोग. एंड इट्स लाइक अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थीम एज वेल इन द गेम.
You think so, huh? You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
अरे बाप रे, गलत ऑप्शन चूज कर लिया, सीधा -10 यार। मेरे को याद नहीं यार आधी कन्वर्सेशंस। आई यूज्ड टू, मेरे को सारी याद थी कि भाई क्या बोलना है क्या नहीं बोलना है, बट काफ़ी टाइम हो गया गेम खेले हुए।
What do you need? Ask away.
ठीक है, टेल मी अबाउट द ग्रे वार्डन्स।
Such as they are.
Okay, okay. What happens if we just left? Okay, no, we need to start rebuilding. What happens with the two of us?
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Logain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere.
True, हम नहीं जाएंगे भाई, बिल्कुल नहीं जाएंगे, चिंता मत कर।
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the free marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Logain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
So, ग्रे वार्डन्स हर कंट्री में फैले हुए होते हैं, थोड़े यहाँ थोड़े वहाँ, बट कभी किसी को पता नहीं होता ऑलमोस्ट एग्जैक्टली कहाँ पे। बट इनका एक हेडक्वार्टर है, मेन हेडक्वार्टर ग्रे वार्डन्स का, जो है वाइसहाउप्ट फोर्ट्रेस। काफ़ी बड़ा फोर्ट्रेस है वो। वहाँ पे वो लोग पुराने ज़माने में उनके पास ग्रिफिन्स होते थे जिन पे वो राइड करते थे, तो ग्रे वार्डन्स का सिंबल इज़ अ ग्रिफिन, उनके आर्मर पे रहता है। बट ग्रिफिन्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो सब मर गए, दे आर एक्सटिंक्ट।
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. You're telling me I was banished to the kitchens to scour the pots more times than I can count. And that's a lot. I can count pretty high. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
सही है, एलिस्टर की कहानी बहुत सही है।
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
तो ज़्यादा सिंपैथी भी मत दिखाओ। डोंट, दिस इज़ वेरी गुड, बस अग्री करो, ही वाज अ वेरी गुड मैन।
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
ओह यार सिर्फ एक अप्रूवल आया है.
What do you need? Ask away. Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
तो आर्ल ईमन के घर में पैदा हुआ था, वहाँ रेज हुआ था. आर्ल ईमन बेसिकली इसका अंकल है.
Well, it wasn't until I was 8 that I discovered you didn't have to lick yourself clean. Old habits die hard, you know. Or did I dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you sleep on a cold, hard ground, isn't it? Point taken. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Our Lehman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
तो ये डेनरम के पैलेस में पैदा हुआ था. इसकी माँ जो है वहाँ पे एक सर्वेंट थी, बट इसका बाप कौन था वो रिवील नहीं कराया अभी. तो कोई भी हो सकता है. तो बेसिकली क्योंकि ये पैलेस में पैदा हुआ था तो आर्ल ईमन जो है वहाँ पे एक लॉर्ड था, वो इसको ले गया और उसने अपने घर में पाला इसको. बेसिकली इज़ अ बास्टर्ड, नाजायज़ औलाद.
Our Lehman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Isle didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
भाई फुल ऑन बॉलीवुड कहानी है. तो यार आप खुद ही अग्री करो ना. देखो ना, फुल बॉलीवुड कहानी है. ये किसी की नाजायज़ औलाद. एक बंदा इसको घर में लेके आता है अपने, वो किसी से शादी करता है, सौतेली माँ आ गई है, ठीक है ना. अब उसका खुद का बच्चा होगा, वो उसको पता चलता है यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एक बच्चा है. अब ये इसका हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है, उसे खुद नहीं पता. तो कैसे इसको प्यार करेगी? ये बॉलीवुड है यार.
Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Isle came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
यार बच्चा था यार. क्या बच्चे को क्या क्या बोल सकते हो आप? ना माँ ना बाप. It's so Bollywood.
And raised by dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
Okay, 4 approval. That's 5 points.
What do you need? Ask away. Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring.
क्या सेलेक्ट करें?
I keep it hidden under my pillow. Sometimes I'll take it out just so I can hug it fondly and remember the good old days. Brings a tear to the eyes, you know.
क्या जोक मारा है. वाह, ये बहुत जोक मारता है.
I'd use my shield if I could, but I think you might actually spot me hiding behind it. You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring.
नहीं भाई, definitely I want to know. I want to know your back story. नहीं, हम गेम खेल क्यों रहे हैं?
Poke, poke, poke. Tell me everything about your life, Alistair. All right, if you insist. It's not like we have anything better to do, right? The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it.
Really?
Using the abilities I have came after years of education and discipline that was difficult to achieve, if rewarding. The sword training and religious doctrine all came later. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful for when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home?
Circle of Magi was a home. Home is where the camp is. We're travelers now.
We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way.
ना देख, थोड़ा सा ना अब ये डिप्रेस हो रहा है, तो इसको ना थोड़ा चीयर अप करने की ज़रूरत है.
I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now.
Okay, to approval. Not bad. कुछ और बातें कर सकते हैं?
What do you need? Ask away.
नहीं, ये तो हमने कर लिया है. Can you teach others to be a Templar? No, ये मैं नहीं सिखा पाएगा क्योंकि हम मेज हैं, तो that's not इसी काम का नहीं है. ठीक है, तो इतना काफ़ी है. तो हमने काफ़ी बातें करी. इन दोनों कैरेक्टर्स ने हमें अपनी थोड़ी हिस्ट्री बताई. हमने थोड़ा अप्रूवल इनका गेन करा. दोनों की स्टोरीज़ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, स्पेशली मॉरिगन की, जो इसने फ्लेमेथ के बारे में बताई. इट्स अ रियली इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी विच विल हैव अ लार्जर इम्पैक्ट ऑन द गेम. एलिस्टर की थोड़ी बैक स्टोरी पता चली हमें. ही इज़ अ बास्टर्ड हु वाज बोर्न इन द पैलेस. वी डोंट नो उसका बाप कौन है, वो नहीं पता. आगे जाके शायद नहीं, आगे जाके पता चलेगा. इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. देखना. तो आल ईमन जिसके बारे में बता रहा था, तो हम उससे भी मिलने जाएंगे. शायद वो इसका बाप है या नहीं है. तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग कहानी है. तो अब नेक्स्ट वीडियो में कहानी आगे बढ़ेंगे. तो आज की वीडियो में यहीं एंड कर रहा हूँ. सो आई विल सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम.